Okay, let's quickly zoom this in. Okay, right, welcome back. Bismillah. Okay folks, student here, my student Aaminah. We're looking today at solving 2 and 3 step simple equations. So we got 1, 2 and 3 examples. Okay? So we're going to go through these questions and how we solve them. Solve them means work out the value of x, looking at it in 3 simple steps. Okay? As long as we follow the steps, we should find the question quite easy. Right, let's get started. Now, step number 1 might sound like an obvious thing. Always start at the x. So for example, in this particular case, we can start the question by looking at the x. Start at the position of the x. So when I say x in a different question examination, the x could be an n, an m, a p, whatever the letter is that you need to solve for. So it's not necessarily saying only for x. This technique works for whatever the letter is in this type of situation. This is the linear equation and we have to rearrange it and solve it. Okay. So we always start at the x and we identify the actions. Okay. Okay, this keyword here, identify and actions. Okay, identify the actions. That's very important. So in this first step, that's setting up how we start the question. So I'm going to follow step 1 now on this particular question. So the rule says always start at the x. So I am focused. Look, I'm looking at the x. I'm going to start at the x. And I'm going to identify the actions. What do we mean by actions? We mean by actions the things that are being done to the x. So for example, x is being first of all multiplied by 10. So what do we call this? We call this the first action. That's the first thing acting on the x. Okay? The analogy I give this to my students is this. This is you, okay? And you are standing and you are talking to your friend. Okay? And then you have another friend who is waiting to talk to you. So this is you. So who's got more priority to talk to you first? The person next to you, isn't it? And then your other friend's waiting. Here's the x. X is being acted on by the 10, is talking to the 10. And then we also have a plus 7 waiting to be dealt with. So that's the first thing that's interacting with the x, first action. And the other one's called the second action. So this is the first action, this automatically becomes the second action. Okay, that's just an idea how we can think about the question. So start of the x is being acted on, is being dealt with by a time by 10 first. That's the first priority on it. Then by an add 7. Now, we always start at the x and identify the actions. And then when we solve it, when we come to solve it, what do we do then? How do you solve? We move by moving the actions in reverse order. Okay. I don't think we need 3 steps, we're doing 2. So by moving the actions in reverse order, so second action moves first, then the first action. So everything has an order. Okay? Now, we got first action, second action. Now that we identify the actions, we can now do the second step, which is to solve by moving the actions in reverse order. So which one do we move first? Do I move the first one first, or do I move the second one first? Move the second one first, because that's the rule saying solve by moving the actions in reverse order. So the last thing that we've done in the actions is the first thing to be moved. So what was the last thing to be done? Was plus 7. Okay, try to circle the number with its sign, put an arrow on it, opposite add 7, I'll call this my little baby minus 7. Okay, I'm going to make sure you put little minus 7 at the top. Try to use a different color for the movement and the circling so it shows up nicely and you're working out. Okay, so the opposite add 7, we grab it, we throw it over, then it becomes a minus 7. Now let's work that out. So 57, Aaminah, minus 7 will give us an answer of 50. So what do we do with this other part over here? Aaminah, the 10x, what do we do with it? Copy it down. Copy it down for the moment. At the moment I have to put it slightly further away because it's going to crash with that. Now, what do we have between the 10 and the x? We have a little baby what? Times. 10x means 10 times by x, which we identify there. Now we move the last action first, now we're going to move the first action, what's left. So let's grab the time by 10. And opposite, of time by 10, opposite time by 10 is divided by 10. So we have here, copy the x down, copy the equal down, 50 divided by 10, opposite time by 10 is divided by 10, 50 divided by 10 is? And we have finished the question. Okay? So always start at the x. That's how you must think like this. I'm going to start at my x, my p, my n, whatever it is, and identify the actions. First thing being done, second thing being done. Label them. Step number 2, solve by moving the actions in reverse order. So you move the last action, the second action, the biggest action number first, then the smallest one next, one by one. 57 take away 7 is 50, opposite time by 10 is divide by 10, 50 divided by 10 is 5. Done. Was that difficult? Not at all. If you follow the idea behind it, the rules behind it, you will get these questions right every time. If I give you 2 steps or I'll give you 20 steps, it doesn't matter. You have to identify first, second, third, fourth, fifth, what's happening. Fifth goes first, then fourth, then third, and so on. Okay? Are you happy with that? Now, how do we check this answer is right? What would you do? Grab the 5 and put it back into here. So 10 times by 5 is 50. 50 add 7 is? So it works. So check by substitution. Okay. Without any further delay, let's look back at this one over here. I'm just going to quickly check how much time we've got left. 8 minutes left for this video. Okay folks, we've got 8 minutes left on this particular video. Let's try to get these 2 questions done in that time. Ready for that? Right. Right. Okay. Right. I want you to lead me through the question. Here's my question. Where do I start the question? Start at the x. Lovely. I'm going to write down here start for emphasis. I'm going to start at the x. Right. So what do we do after we start at this? We have to do what? What's next? Identify the action. What's being done to the x? So go on now. What's the first thing being done to the x is? It's been time by 8. That's all the first action. Okay, done? That's the first action. What's the second action? Second action. Now, we've identified the actions and now we have to solve by moving the actions in reverse order. So the first one doesn't go first, the second one goes first, the last action goes first. So let's grab the minus 12 now. The minus 12 goes. Now in this question here, we went from the left to the right. Now we're going from the right to the, so the direction, that's not important, which way we're going to in the sense, because all the work's on the right hand side, we have to move it to the, so you don't move from the right to the right, do you? You don't think, oh yes sir, here you went to the right, So this one, I'm going to go to the right. You can't do that because there's nothing here for you to do. So you have to look at the question and see which side the question will be written on. Alright? So opposite of minus 12 is plus 12 on the other side. And an arrow with an arrowhead and a little baby plus 12. Okay, got that? So now we've got 68 plus 12, that will give us 68 at 2 at 10, 70, 80. If you want to do mental maths in your head, 80. What do we copy down? 8x. So, right. What is left over now? So we move the last action first. Now what's left to be moved? The time by 8. So we grab the time by 8 now. And the opposite time by 8 is divide by 8. Okay? So now we have 80 divided by 8. 80 divided by 8 will give us an answer of, what's 80 divided by 8? 10. Now, one thing I want to point out to my students now, the ones that are here with me and the ones which are following us at home. Please make sure when you do your questions, keep these things lined up. Keep the equals in one place, keep the x in one place, keep on this stuff on one side. So if you move something from the right to the left, it should now be on the left. Okay? Try to keep you working out so it's flowing down the page for this type of question. Because we've got multiple steps. This goes here, then somebody else goes over. The question is moving down the page. When you do it working out like this nice and clearly and space it out, when your teacher sees it, when I see your work and when your teacher sees it at school, they'll be very pleased. It's easy to just look at one page in 3-4 seconds and say, they're all beautifully correct. Because it's clear. You are advertising to me your technique, that you understand the mathematics. You know what you're doing. Okay? No, do you know you're communicating that knowledge to me as the teacher? That, sir, look, I understand. Last question over here on this particular video. Let's just hope we can fit it in. 33 equals 3. 33 equals 3 times by 6x minus 1. That's what it says. Alright, let's put a little times into here. Okay? Are you happy with that? When you have a number or a letter outside a bracket, it automatically means multiplying. So, let's get this one done. Now, what do we do? Always start at the x. Start at the x. Say, what's this? Pointing right where to start. Right, we need to, what do we do next? After starting, we need to identify the action. What's been done to the x? So right next to the x, x is being multiplied by, what's been multiplied by? 6. We call this the first action. Okay? Now, next. What's the next thing to be done to the x? After timesing by 6 is being, what's next? It's been minus by 1. And after we've timed by 6 and minus 1, what's the next thing acting on it? What's next? Time by 3 is the third action. Folks, I cannot emphasize this enough. If you don't already have your own method, this is the method that works. This is the method that helps us to understand the question. This is the method that gives you the right result each time. You must follow the different steps. Start, identify, move, action, reverse order. If you follow this idea, this concept, you'll get every single question right if you do confidently, whether in Key Stage 3 level or GCSE level. So, right, let's start solving this question. Right, we got first action, second action, third action. Which action do we move first now? We always move the last action, which is the third one. Opposite time by 3 is? Opposite time by 3 is divide by 3. 33 divided by 3 will give us an 11. Copy everything else down. Okay, if you realize here now the brackets have gone, I've removed them. I called them, they've evaporated, they've gone. Why have the brackets gone? Because the multiply that by 3 is holding them together, multiply by 3 was acting on them, that's gone, brackets are gone as well. Okay? Don't leave the brackets in the question. Now what do we move next? The last action, the middle action, which is the next action to move, is the minus 1. So opposite of minus 1 is plus 1. We want an arrow, a circle, and a baby plus 1. So 11 add 1 is equal to 12. Copy down the 6x. Now, what's left to move now, Aaminah? Wait for you to catch up there for a bit. Okay. So, what's left now? Time by 6. Time by 6. And the opposite of time by 6 is little baby divided by 6 arrow. Copy down the equal. So copy the x down. 12 divided by 6 is 2. That's the end of this question. That's the end of this video. I think we just literally got minutes or seconds left before the video stops. Okay, folks. I hope this additional lesson will help. We do already have a lesson on the YouTube website, which is called Solving 2 and 3 Step Simple Equations with a Deal. That's the other file for those of you who want some additional questions to follow, and we'll try to put some more questions up in a bit. Okay, folks, in the next video what we'll do, we'll put up some questions for you to practice, and then you can have a go at those. Thank you for joining us in this video. If it's helped you, please give us a like on the YouTube and pass the link on to your friends, family.